Can't wait you out anymore.
Who's the one who's most uncomfortable with silence?
Apparently me. Apparently me. And I'm cold today. I've got like a long sleeve shirt on. You're like,
I don't even understand it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's upside down day.
It is upside down day. Anyway, I'm Shaman.
I was about to say, who are you?
Yolanda. And we are the Connected Relationship.
Yeah.
We are couples coaches.
We spent the last decade helping couples connect more deeply in their relationship.
Yep.
After studying the masters and having more than 30 years of experience.
You have what?
30 years. Oh, for my water bottle. Yeah. Stay hydrated, folks. After having 30 years of... We were talking.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's what we do. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
That's why you're seeing us. We got a tip.
We do have a tip.
Yeah.
About not letting apathy ruin your mojo.
MOJO. That was a good one.
I know.
You came up with MOJO.
That was my Austin Powers reference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
My mojo.
So, you know how geeky I can be.
I know. And I heard you the other day in the room listening to this. She's listening to this podcast.
Oh, come on. You listen to podcasts too.
You're right. We like podcasts
We do. We like podcasts and reading and like just the type A firstborn things that we do.
Whatever. But she's listening to this podcast and it's Brene Brown and
interviewing
Gottmans
John and Julie Gottman.
Right. And I heard that piece you're talking about,
right?
Where you had said they had mentioned that.
Would you like to share?
Yeah, I was gonna get there. They mentioned that.
But wait, John and Julie Gottman, 4 decades worth of research on couples. You got to give some context,
right? And they have that whole they can like predict with like 1 billion% accuracy,
pretty accurate
within like the first 3 minutes of seeing a couple interact, whether they're going to stay together or not.
They had the love lab. They called it the love lab. I did not name it, so don't go there. Okay. They had the love lab where they would observe couples.
A little creepy.
And their interactions with each other. Right. Especially as they're going into conflict.
Right. But that being said, I mean, they pretty much attribute like stuff on the early end of relationships falling apart to what they call the 4 horsemen. And we've talked about all that in the past.
If you don't know Brene Brown, look up her TED Talk.
But the interesting thing was they attributed relationships that fall apart much later, like year 16 plus, right?
Right. So in the early end of the relationship, those 4 horsemen, criticism, defensiveness, contempt, stonewalling.
Right.
That was the big predictor. Like that's what they were coding for in the research.
Right.
The more those things showed up, the more likely the couple was to divorce.
Not gonna make it. Right.
Right. So we're familiar with the Gottman stuff. I'm trained in the Gottman stuff. I knew that. Mm-hmm. It was the piece that you just referenced, though.
That the other group.
Right.
Kind of in the middle of the marriage.
Yeah. As they've gone along in their research, what's come out of the data, right, is that like that first 7 years, it's the 4 horsemen. Mm-hmm. Beyond that,
it's like apathy.
It's apathy.
Right.
It's like the relationship dies a slow death.
It literally like that house plant that you just ignore.
You like that metaphor?
I did. Well, it's so apropos for us because we have like a tower garden and I'm killing everything in it over time. Yeah,
no, we got squash blooming.
No, it's not.
Oh, not anymore. Okay. Anyway. Thankfully, it's not a metaphor for our relationship.
Right.
But it is. It's like that houseplant that you get.
And it just dies.
And you're like so excited to bring it home. You're like, oh, it's going to be beautiful. And you set it in the corner and then...
It dies.
You don't water it.
Right. We've had a lot of those. We're terrible at plants.
House plants.
Yeah. We're better with relationships.
Thankfully, we're much better. Yeah, we're much better with relationships. But that is like that phase that we have called the messy middle.
Right.
You get knee deep in your career, in
kids.
You throw a global pandemic in there.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, you're looking at a stranger, like you're sleeping with a stranger.
Right.
And
well, I mean, all that starts to go away, like all that intimacy, all those things. The friendship kind of dies.
just the intentionality. I mean,
Right.
you hear us say it time and time again: be intentional about your relationship.
Right.
This is why. This is why. Right? Because otherwise, you stop talking. You stop holding hands. You stop knowing what your partner even likes anymore.
And I mean, and over again, we hear kind of in our private practice for therapy for couples, that I don't know this person anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you don't, because like you literally let the relationship wither and die.
Right, because not because you're like, oh, I'm going to let my relationship wither and die.
No, but it just happens.
It like when you're in the middle of that, it feels like the kids, the job, like that is so
right.
Encompassing,
and everything has taken priority over the relationship.
And then our society doesn't help things by reinforcing, like, spend the 12 hours a day at the soccer fields with the kids, and spend 15 hours a day at work. Right. So it is that it's those small moments of, hey, kiss each other hello and goodbye.
Right. Or hey, keep the friendship alive.
Keep the friendship alive.
At the very basis.
Go
that's
on
what
dates.
Brought you together. Right.
Ask questions about your partner. Be curious about what are you reading right now? What's your favorite show? Right. It's funny because in the podcast interview, the Gottmans kind of made a reference about, you ask your partner to go running with you because it's something that they love, and they're like, I had knee replacement 3 years ago. I don't run anymore.
Right.
So it is like, you don't want that to be a surprise. You don't want your partner to be a surprise to you.
And it's so crazy to think that just being a little more intentional about your friendship and your relationship, the foundation that got you where you are, can really save your marriage from like apathy just destroying it.
And it is being intentional about those bits for connection is how the Gottmans phrase it. But like, I think over time we've made it a practice of, like, if we text each other, we get back to each other, like in the middle of a work day, if we're not together, we get back to each other as soon as we can, right? When we walk into the room and, we want to have conversation with each other, we kind of put the phone down. It's easy to get, caught up in that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a million distractions today.
Exactly. But it's kind of being really super intentional, because here's the fact of the matter, something that I'm really thankful, because it wasn't in place when we were kind of in that more in the messy middle phase with the busyness of work and kids and school and all those things. There was a moment that I was like, oh, you know what? You and I have been this before the kids, before the career, before all of this stuff. And hopefully it's going to be us after all of that.
Right. I mean, it's got to be something here when all that's gone.
Right. Like after you've retired, after we've retired or left the job, after the kids have moved out, which has just happened, in the past year for us. Like, what's going to be left? There's still going to be us, and are we going to know?
We got a party, girl.
We haven't. We've been doing a little party, and I'm just saying, it's been fun up in the Harper house. Anyway,
you can't let apathy kill your relationship.
Don't let it kill your mojo.
Don't let it kill your mojo.
All right, guys. So do something to be intentional about connecting in friendship with your partner today. That's your challenge.
Yep.
And hydrate.
Bye, guys.